I got a call from a bank about a $400,000 mortgage in my name. Turns out my parents impersonated me. I was midway through a pitch in my 19th floor office in Portland, the Willamette River glinting under a rare February sun, when my phone buzzed. The client, a local brewery exec, was nodding at my storyboard for their summer campaign, so I ignored the call. Unknown number, 503 area code, probably spam. But it buzzed again, insistent, and something tugged at me. "Excuse me," I said, flashing an apologetic smile. "Emily Harper speaking." "Ms. Harper, this is Daniel Weiss from Cascade National Bank," a measured voice said. "I'm calling about a mortgage for a property at 2834 Crestwood Drive. We need to address an overdue payment." My pen froze over the storyboard, where I'd sketched a hoppy IPA can. "I'm sorry, there's a mistake," I said, keeping my tone light for the client's sake. "I don't have a mortgage with you, and I've never heard of Crestwood Drive." A pause hung heavy like the air before a storm. "I understand this may be unexpected," Daniel said, softening. "Your name, Emily Harper, is listed as a co-signer on the loan under your brother, Noah Harper. Your parents, Linda and Robert Harper, submitted the documents." The room spun. My brother? My parents? I set the pen down, its tap loud against the glass desk. "That's not possible," I said, my voice sharper than I meant. "I haven't signed anything for Noah. I don't even know where that property is." "I'm sorry to hear that," Daniel said, hesitating. "The loan was finalized 10 months ago, with your signature on the paperwork, delivered in person by your parents. The balance is $400,000 and it's 4 months delinquent, $14,000 overdue." My breath snagged. $400,000? I forced a nod at the client, who was flipping through my slides, oblivious. Memories flickered. Mom's vague chatter at Thanksgiving about Noah's new place. Dad sliding a stack of estate papers across the table at my 34th birthday, saying, "Just sign M, it's routine." Noah's texts about big plans he never detailed. Had I been blind? "I need those documents," I said, my voice trembling despite my effort to stay calm. "Can you email them now?" "Of course," Daniel replied. "I'll send them shortly. But, Ms. Harper, the bank is preparing to send this to collections if payments aren't made." I ended the call, my pulse hammering in my throat. Collections? My credit was pristine, 790 last I checked, built through years of 80-hour weeks as an advertising director, clawing my way up at 34. I glanced at the river outside, its calm mocking my chaos. My client cleared his throat, and I forced a smile, wrapping up the pitch on autopilot. The second he left, I opened my email, refreshing until Daniel's message landed. Crestwood Drive mortgage documents. The PDF loaded, and there it was. My name, my social security number, a signature with my familiar loopy E. But I hadn't signed it. I hadn't seen these forms. My family had done this without a word. The betrayal hit like a slap, sharp and disorienting. I grabbed my phone and dialed Mia, my cybersecurity expert friend who'd always been my rock. "They forged my signature," I blurted when she answered. "Mom, Dad, Noah, they put me on a $400,000 loan." "Whoa, Em, slow down," Mia said, her voice steady. "I'm coming to your office. We'll sort this out." As I waited, staring at the Portland skyline, anger sparked beneath my shock. My family thought they could drag me into their mess without a fight. They were wrong. Mia arrived at my apartment that evening, her laptop under one arm and a bag of feijoa from our favorite food cart in the other. "You look like you've been staring at that email for hours," she said, setting the takeout on my coffee table. I had. The bank's PDF with the forged mortgage documents was still open on my screen, that fake signature mocking me with its perfect imitation of my loopy E. I slid my laptop toward her. They used my name, Mia. Mom, Dad, Noah, for a $400,000 loan I didn't know existed. She scanned the documents, her eyes narrowing. "This is serious, Em. We need to dig deeper. Your credit, your accounts, everything. If they forge this, there could be more." Her words landed like a bucket of cold water. I'd been so fixated on the mortgage, the idea of other fraud hadn't crossed my mind. Mia logged into a credit monitoring platform she used for her cybersecurity work, pulling up my report with my permission. I stood behind her, gripping the back of my couch, the Willamette River's lights flickering outside my window. The screen loaded and my stomach dropped. My credit score, once 790, was now 580. No, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Mia scrolled, revealing 4 credit cards I'd never applied for, with a combined balance of $50,000. There was also a $30,000 car loan for a BMW registered in Noah's name, and a $40,000 unsecured loan tied to something called Nova Ventures. All opened in my name, all within the last 9 months. I collapsed onto the couch, my hands trembling. How did I miss this? I check my accounts every quarter. Mia tapped the screen. They used your info, social security, address, even your work email. Whoever did this had full access. She paused, then pointed to a line. This Nova Ventures thing, it's listed as an investment account. Ever heard of it? Never, I said, my voice hollow. Nova Ventures sounded like one of those trendy startups I'd pitch ad campaigns for, but I'd never invested in anything like it. Mia dug deeper, pulling up transaction logs. The account had funneled $40,000 into a loan, with withdrawals linked to an address I knew too well, my parents' house in Astoria. I pictured their cedar shingled home, the porch where Mom used to pour me iced tea, now tainted by this betrayal. The PO grew cold as fury surged inside me. I grabbed my phone and dialed Mom. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice bright as ever. Emily, sweetie, are you coming to Astoria this weekend? Your dad's making his famous clam chowder. I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles whitened. I got a call from Cascade National Bank today, Mom, about a $400,000 mortgage in my name. Want to explain? Silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Then she faltered. Oh, Em, we meant to tell you. Noah needed help with his apartment. You're doing so well. Your job, your awards. We thought you'd be okay with it. Okay with it? I snapped. You forged my signature. There's a car loan, credit cards, some fake investment scam, all in my name. I'm buried in $120,000 of debt I didn't ask for. Emily, don't raise your voice, she said, switching to that condescending tone she used when I was a kid. We're family. Noah's just getting started. He'll pay it back. When? I demanded. The bank says you're 4 months behind. She sighed, like I was the one being difficult. You're making this bigger than it is. Noah's working on it. I hung up, my chest tight. Mia watched me, her eyes steady. You good? No, I admitted, my throat burning. But I'm not done. I dialed Noah next. He answered, his voice lazy, like he was lounging by a pool. Yo, Em, what's good? Don't play stupid, I said. The mortgage, the BMW loan, the credit cards. How could you do this to me? Whoa, chill, he said, faking surprise. Mom and Dad handled the paperwork. They said you were fine with it. I just needed a place to crash. Fine with it? I nearly shouted. You've wrecked my credit and saddled me with debt I can't pay. Did you think about what this could do to my career? My life? Relax, he said. It's family. We've got your back. I ended the call, slamming my phone down. Mia closed her laptop. This isn't a one-off, she said quietly. They've been at this for months. We need to lock down your accounts. Credit bureaus, banks, the works. I nodded, my anger crystallizing into determination. I thought of Mom borrowing my laptop at Christmas to check her recipes, Noah lingering in my office after a coffee run, asking about my passwords for emergencies. They hadn't just betrayed me, they'd planned it. As Mia started a fraud alert, I stared at the city lights beyond my window. I'd built this life, my corner office, my reputation, step by step. They thought they could tear it down. They'd underestimated me. The drive to my parents' house in Astoria felt like navigating a war zone. Rain lashed my windshield, the coastal wind howling as I gripped the steering wheel. Mia had offered to come, but this was my fight. On the passenger seat sat a folder stuffed with evidence, bank emails, credit reports, and forged transaction logs Mia had pulled, all proving the $120,000 fraud in my name. My heart ached at the thought of exposing them, but I couldn't let their betrayal define me. Their cedar-shingled house perched above the Columbia River, its porch bare without Mom's usual flower baskets. Inside, the air smelled of Dad's clam chowder and denial. Noah sprawled at the kitchen table, scrolling on his phone, his BMW keys glinting beside a half-eaten bagel. Dad stirred a pot on the stove, his back to me. Mom rose from the couch, her smile as forced as a bad ad pitch. Emily, you're here, she said, like I'd come for a cozy dinner, not a reckoning. I didn't smile back. I dropped the folder onto the table with a thud that echoed in the quiet. No games, I said, my voice steadier than my shaking hands. This is every loan, credit card, and fake transaction you put in my name. $120,000 in debt and counting. Explain. Mom's smile wavered. Noah set his phone down, his eyes narrowing like I'd challenged his ego. Dad turned off the burner but stayed silent, his jaw tight. Mom glanced at the folder, then away, as if it might bite. Emily, honey, you're overreacting, she said. Noah needed a fresh start. His apartment, his car. You've got your big job, your fancy loft. We knew you'd want to help. Help? My voice cracked, betraying the hurt I'd tried to bury. You forged my signature, Mom. You set up a fake email, eharper.consult@gmail.com, pretending to be me. You tanked my credit and jeopardized my career. That's not help. That's theft. Noah leaned forward, his tone slick, like he was selling me one of his half-baked startup ideas. Come on, Em, don't be so dramatic. I didn't plan for it to get this big. I just needed the apartment. Mom and Dad said you'd be cool. Family sticks together, right? I opened the folder, pulling out a printout of a $40,000 loan authorization for Nova Ventures, supposedly signed by me. This isn't sticking together, I said, sliding it toward him. This is you using my name to buy a BMW while I'm stuck with the bill. You racked up $9,000 last month. On what, Noah? Bar tabs? Designer jackets? He flinched, his charm faltering. Mom stepped closer, her eyes pleading. Emily, please, we didn't mean to hurt you. Noah's building something. You've got your awards, your promotions. Can't you see he needs this more? I stared at her, the woman who'd taught me to budget my allowance, now excusing fraud. What I see, I said, is you choosing Noah's dreams over my life. You didn't ask. You lied. Dad finally spoke, his voice rough. You're selfish, Emily. Always were. Noah's struggling and you're whining about your credit? The words cut deep, but I stood firm. Selfish? I'm the one cleaning up your mess. I'm filing a fraud complaint with the state tomorrow. This stops now. Mom gasped, clutching the table. You'd turn on your own family? Noah's face twisted, panic flashing. You can't. I'm your brother. You're the brother who stole my identity, I said, my voice cold but trembling inside. Family doesn't do this. I grabbed the folder and headed for the door, their silence roaring behind me. As I stepped into the rain, Mom's sob carried, but I didn't look back. My heart felt like it was splintering, but a spark of freedom flared within me. They'd crossed a line, and I wasn't their pawn anymore. The morning after the confrontation, I sat in Mia's cluttered office, surrounded by monitors and empty energy drink cans, watching her build a digital case against my family. The fight in Astoria had left me hollow, but I wasn't backing down. Mia had called in Rachel Kim, a financial fraud consultant she'd collaborated with before, and her sharp focus felt like a lifeline. Rachel studied the forged emails and credit reports with precision, her stylus darting across her tablet. Emily, she said, looking up, this isn't just about you. It's much bigger. My stomach twisted. Bigger how? Rachel spun her tablet toward me, displaying a web of transactions tied to Nova Ventures, the fake investment account in my name. Your family used your identity to pitch this fund to investors, she said. They leveraged your reputation, advertising director, rising star, to scam people. I've traced $4 million through shell accounts, some offshore in the Caymans. I gripped the chair, dizzy. They hadn't just stolen from me, they'd weaponized my name to rob others. Rachel showed me fake brochures featuring my headshot from my agency's website, my bio touting innovative leadership, and emails from eharper.consult promising 15% returns. They hacked your work laptop, she added. There's a keylogger trace from your parents' IP logged when Noah visited your office last summer. Before I could respond, Mia's phone buzzed. She read the alert, her jaw tightening. Your dad and Noah just tried to transfer $200,000 from a Nova Ventures account at Cascade National. The bank froze it, flagged it as fraud. Good, Rachel said, already typing. That gives us a window. She met my eyes. We need to go to the authorities now, Emily. The FBI will take this seriously. The weight of her words pressed down. FBI, my family. I nodded, my throat tight. That afternoon, Rachel set up a meeting with Clara Thompson, a retired teacher who'd lived near my parents years ago. Clara walked into the Portland cafe, her silver hair neat but her hands trembling. "Emily," she said, her voice soft, "I trusted your mom. She said you were behind Nova Ventures, that it was secure. I invested $250,000, my retirement." My chest ached. "Clara, I didn't know. I'm so sorry." She shook her head, firm. "It's not on you, but I need that money for my grandkids' future." I promised to fight for her, my resolve hardening. By evening, Mia, Rachel, and I walked into Cascade National Bank with a binder of evidence: IP logs, fake emails, Clara's statement. The branch manager, Susan Patel, flipped through it, her face paling. "Your parents were here this morning," she said. "They claimed you were sabotaging Noah's career with lies." "Then read this," I said, sliding the binder closer. She did, her expression shifting to horror as she reached the offshore account trails. "I'm escalating this to our legal team," she said. "We'll freeze all linked accounts." Hours later, the Portland PD and federal agents were involved. Susan called my parents and Noah to the bank, citing paperwork issues. I waited in a back office, my pulse racing as their voices drifted through the door. Mom's tone was breezy. "Susan, thanks for sorting this out. Emily's just confused." I stepped out, binder in hand. "No confusion," I said, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. "This is fraud, identity theft, and a $4 million scam using my name." Noah's eyes widened. Mom clutched Dad's arm and Dad's face flushed. "You're destroying us," he growled. "No," I said. "You destroyed yourselves." Two agents stepped forward, badges gleaming. "Linda, Robert, Noah Harper, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, and operating an illegal investment scheme." Noah lunged, shouting, "Em, you're ruining everything!" But an agent restrained him. Mom sobbed, Dad glared, and I watched them led away in cuffs, my heart heavy but resolute. The trial came weeks later, a tense courtroom packed with victims. I testified, detailing the forged emails, Clara's lost savings, my ruined credit. The prosecution showed Noah's Instagram, rooftop parties, and luxury watches bought with stolen funds. When Noah took the stand, he cracked, yelling, "It was Mom's idea." The gallery gasped and Mom hid her face. The judge sentenced them. Dad, 15 years, Mom, 13, Noah, 10. All assets were seized for restitution. Clara hugged me after, her eyes wet. "You gave me a chance," she whispered. I wanted to believe her, but guilt lingered. Could I have stopped this sooner? Still, standing there, I knew justice was the only way forward. 4 months after the trial, I stood in my parents' empty Astoria house, the Columbia River's choppy waves visible through the window. The property had been seized for victim restitution, but the authorities allowed me to collect personal items. The silence was stark. No clinking dishes, no hum of Dad's chowder simmering. In Noah's old bedroom, I opened a desk drawer and found a small notebook in Mom's neat handwriting. "Nova Ventures outline," it read. "Use Emily's name. She won't suspect." I exhaled, not with anger, but with clarity. I kept the notebook, not as evidence, but as a reminder. Trust is a choice, not a debt. Back in Portland, my life was taking shape again. My agency's board emailed me post-trial, offering me the chance to lead Reclaim Network, a support program for victims of family financial fraud. "Your experience makes you the perfect voice," the director wrote. "Not just your expertise, but your strength." I hesitated. Part of me wanted to bury the past, but I accepted. If I could help one person feel less broken, it was worth it. Reclaim Network took off quickly. Mia built a sleek website, Rachel advised on fraud safeguards, and I threw myself into it. Our hotline rang constantly. Fathers scammed by daughters, siblings betrayed by siblings. One call, from a 68-year-old named Margaret, struck deep. "My son took out loans in my name," she said, her voice trembling. "I feel so stupid for believing him." I held the phone tightly. "You're not stupid," I said. "Loving someone isn't a flaw. Fighting back now, that's power." I spoke at our first summit, held in a Portland community center with creaky floors and mismatched chairs. I'd prepared a polished speech, but facing 150 people, some tearful, some hopeful, I ditched my notes. I'm not here to tell you how to heal, I said. I'm here because I've been where you are, thinking family was a safe harbor until they stole my name, my future. You're not weak for hurting. You're unstoppable for standing up. A man named Victor stood, his voice shaky. Thank you for saying it's okay to let go. Others murmured agreement, and later, I found notes tucked into my bag. You gave me strength. I'm not alone. They weren't just words. They were proof we were creating something real. One rainy evening, I sat with Mia at a cafe, the Portland skyline glowing through the drizzle. She sipped her chai and asked, "Do you think you'll ever forgive them?" I traced the edge of my coffee mug, the question settling gently. I don't hate them, I said. But forgiveness isn't about welcoming them back. It's about letting go of their weight. I've forgiven myself for trusting too much, for staying quiet too long. I smiled. Now, I'm building a family that sees me. People like you, Rachel, everyone at Reclaim. She raised her mug. To chosen families. To new horizons, I said, clinking mine against hers. That night, alone in my loft, I looked at the notebook from Mom's drawer, its pages a relic of betrayal. I set it aside, no longer the daughter desperate for their approval. I was Emily, survivor, advocate, voice for others. The fraud had shattered me, but from those fractures grew purpose. I didn't need a flawless family. I had truth, resilience, and a community that felt more like home than blood ever could. As I watched the city lights flicker, I felt a quiet certainty. My story wasn't over. It was just beginning.